Come correct or don't come at all.
This is the Hartzog Hustle Podcast.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And we're talking about the hustle, strategy, and mindset you need to win in the areas of your finance, your purpose, and your future.
Know what I'm saying?
If you have heart and you want to learn how to activate the power of your hustle, then this is the podcast for you, baby. For you, baby.
Congratulations.
And now, your hosts, Anthony and Janilka Hartzog.
This is how it should be done. Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Hartzog Hustle Podcast. My name is Anthony. I'm joined here by my beautiful wife, Janilka.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
Doing great. Busy day, but when isn't it a busy day in the Hartzog household? So that's nothing new.
Thank you guys for joining us. We'll be talking about the everyday hustle as it relates to business, entrepreneurship, relationships, and life. So, we are going to be talking about the Great Resignation.
Is that what it's called now?
Listen, there was this article on CNBC. You know, I love reading my random articles, and they said about 4 million people resigned in September alone.
Okay. Well, then I guess that's what it's called. So does that make the Great Resignation since that many people retired or resigned? Or
Yeah, it's like the Great Depression, but for people
Okay.
who resigned.
Okay.
But
Why are we talking about that? Let's talk about that.
Before we even get into that, we also just closed on a house officially.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about
I
that.
forgot about that.
That's important. We're gonna talk
I tell
about
you,
that.
it's busy. It's busy.
We just closed on a house. How's this process been for us so far?
I was going to say very quick, but it was the house. This was the fourth offer that we put in.
Yep.
Every other time we got beat out. But Tony had a feeling about this one. And
Listen, y'all, my feelings are never wrong.
That's true.
I'm like Michael Jordan in the finals.
Did he have feelings?
No, I mean, he like always won.
Okay, never misses. So yes, Tony had a feeling about this one, and we went for it, and everything happened like within 3 weeks. I don't have the exact dates, but at least within 3 weeks, we were able to close and get it all done.
Yeah, and this process was difficult, but it flew by.
Technically, we started like after Labor Day, so I want to say it took a total of 2 months.
2 months, 8 weeks.
2 months, 2.5 months.
That's not that bad.
It wasn't that bad at all, technically.
The goal was to actually have the house by December, so we pretty much hit our goal. And these episodes might be out of order a little bit, so you might hear a date and we might be past it, but I just want to let you guys know where we are with that.
That's fine.
But we closed on it, and that process itself, the actual closing day was interesting. So we were really excited about the closing. We was like, we're going to do a video, we're going to record it.
Yep. And so then like an hour or 2 hours before, they're like, oh, we got to push it back an hour. We're like, totally fine.
Mind you, she's at work, so I was like, all right,
so
cool.
I was like, yeah, I'll be able to push it back. Then on the way there, their systems went down.
The whole IT system went down. We're driving in, and they're like, we see the email thread happening.
Yeah, we're like, we live 10 minutes from the place, and they're like, oh, we're trying to figure it out. We need the system up to print the paperwork. We're like, sure, we'll sit in the car until you tell us to come in. Waited in the car for almost exactly 30 minutes, and they brought us in and was like, we're still waiting.
And we walked in, we had our phones ready to record, and we were just so excited. But the real estate agent, the whole team was amazing. They took care of us. And then later that night, they sent us a
mobile notary.
Mobile notary.
Yeah. Basically,
shout out to the mobile notaries out there, too, man. They be working all types of night to make sure these jobs get done. She brought over a huge stack of paperwork, too.
And so we closed in our apartment. I mean, that was fine, too.
We recorded that.
They gave us some gifts that they had for us.
They gave us a nice
our realtor
bottle.
gave us a gift. And so it was a good time. It was fine for me. Yeah, it wasn't what we expected, but listen, everything happens for a reason. Yeah,
we were really excited about that. So by God's graces, we closed on our house, and we're moving in sometime in the early year.
January. Yeah, early January, because our lease ends, and then we'll just make the transition over.
You may see some Instagram posts with us already in our house or whatever, but listen, these episodes might be...
you just never know where people are listening from. They may not even know we exist on
until
Instagram.
That episode.
So, yes, it's totally fine.
And if you guys don't follow us on Instagram, we are the Hartrimony, Hartrimony.
Yes. But the real reason that we're here today, the big ba-dum-bum, is because... I'll let you reveal.
Because we are recording a podcast.
What?
That's the real reason we're here. But
yes. But the topic at hand, I should say.
The topic at hand is I retired from my job.
Yes.
Officially.
Woo! clap, clap,
I
clap.
retired from my job.
Drop bombs like Funk Flex. If you're from New York, you know what that means.
Listen, Funk Flex is a staple in our communities, and he dropped a lot of bombs, but we ain't got no bombs here.
Not yet. But yes, you quit your job. Tell us about it. Tell us about the journey. What does that mean? You retired. You're not that old to retire.
Listen.
So what does it all mean?
Let's start with the language around resigning versus retiring, right? Because that was that threw my. I'm gonna go into a story about my team, but that threw them off because I said I'm retiring from my job, and no one knew exactly what that meant. I didn't say resigning. I said retiring. So people didn't. When we talk about retirement, we think about people on a beach. I mean, what do you think about when you hear the word retirement?
I think about an older person. So
what age?
Say?
You said older.
So I said older.
I'm
I'm about to get into it. Older person, maybe 65 plus. I assume maybe they didn't pay off their house. Maybe they did. They may be empty nesting, meaning no kids in the home.
Yep.
Grandchildren, if they have, are visiting and whatnot. But I think that they have worked 40 years plus for a job or in general, and they're now retiring to enjoy life at an older age of that 65 plus. I'm not saying 65 is old.
Jeez,
I'm just saying that's
you just
that's
said
what
they
I
worked
think
for
about.
20. You said they were working for 40 years. So that means they started working at maybe 20s and they are now 60, 65 years old.
Give or take.
And they get to enjoy life at the ripe age of 65. That sounds absolutely nuts. When you say that
I don't
loud.
disagree that it sounds nuts, but that is the standard that America has. That's why they don't have Social Security given to you until I think it's 65, 63 and a half. I don't remember. Because that's the age. And then now, how much longer can you enjoy life like that? Depends on you.
Yeah.
Right?
When you sitting down and you start talking about the word retirement and you think automatically we think about somebody that's old, sitting on the beach or enjoying their life at 65. The average African American male lives until what, 75, 70?
I think in the 70s.
That sounds crazy. If we retire at 65, you living until your 70s. You only got 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years to enjoy life. That sounds absolutely nuts. And I wanted to change that stigma for myself and my family. And so when I officially retired from my job as we're recording this episode. And I was telling them, we had a large team meeting, and I told them I retired from the job.
Well, backtrack as to how it all started for you to even reach to the point of actually pulling the plug and retiring.
Manifestation.
Okay.
That's a word you hear a lot, but I didn't start believing it until
I don't know.
Until recent.
Do you feel like you didn't believe it, or you just felt like, which I still feel that way, that there's work that needs to go into the manifestation, right? Because I feel like sometimes the way it's portrayed is that, well, I'm saying I'm going to retire and it happens. So I've manifested it. And it's like, well, what steps did you take to get there for it to actually come to life? So
manifestation it's like you think about psychics or something like that. I don't know. You think about psychics. It's like a word that's like people throw around and it's like, well, I'm going to do a palm reading or something like that.
Not
it's
a
like,
palm reading.
Well, it's something you hear. It may or may not be true. It may or may not be real. But, we manifested this early on in the year. And we had these conversations really early on, January, maybe February, saying that this would probably be my last year working the 9 to 5.
And that's what I was going to say. So how did we manifest it early on in the year? What did we do? What did we say?
Well, every year we have a family meeting. We have a family sit-down meeting, and we talk about, what are some of our goals for life for that year. And we talk about, we talk about jobs, we talk about business, we talk about fitness, we talk about spirituality, we talk about...
We go over what we accomplished or didn't accomplish the year before, and then, like you said, set the goals for
exactly.
that
We
year.
talk about all of our goals for the year, and manifestation, like you said, is not just talking about it, it's about sitting down and putting some action behind it. So we had our family meeting.
Yeah, so that was the first step. That's back in January, though.
That was January.
I mean, we do have monthly family meetings, but that's back in January. I also feel like you mentioning it out loud, we had those conversations, but when you start telling other people, people are going to come back to you and say, well, you said, what about this, whatever, right? So we told friends, you had mentioned it amongst friends. We've teased it on social media. We've told our business coach, we told our financial coach, this is the plan.
Yep.
What can we do to set ourselves up to make sure that this can happen, if it happens that way?
And then before we even started talking to them about it, when you start telling people out loud, now it's like, you got that friend and you like, oh, was he going to do that thing? Like whatever happened to that business or whatever happened to that side hustle, whatever happened to that car you was going to get or whatever you was going to get. And now they're on your back because you said you were going to do something and you never did it.
Yeah.
So when you start talking about it out loud, your friends and family now have the ability to hold you accountable.
And the funny thing is, I think everyone that we spoke to about it definitely said, you should do it.
Like, they didn't have no concerns.
Yeah, they're like, based on how what you're describing, like, yeah, you've been at your job for a significant amount of time, but all the things that you guys have going on outside of your 9 to 5, you can manage it. We know you can manage it because we paid off debt. We paid off $114,000 in 23 months. So we can manage the money, and we've been doing it consistently.
You can't just skip over that. We paid off $114,000
in 23 months. So, we can manage it. And we've been, since then, growing our net worth, still doing things to bring in income. So it's not like it would be like, well, where you getting money from?
And that was one of our first steps too. Yeah. When you're talking about planning out, what your future looks like. One of our first steps before we even talked about retiring from our jobs was getting our finances in order. And one of the biggest challenges and hurdles we've come across has been paying off the debt.
Yeah. So that was a big way to get your finances in order.
So listen, if you need $10,000 to live off of, and let's say $3,000 of that 10 is going to debt. Yeah. You pay off that $3,000, you pay off that debt, and now you only need $7,000 to live off of. So you just gave yourself, or you just decrease your expenses just by paying off your debt, and you realize how much more wiggle room you have.
Yeah, and we live. We'll see what happens to the house, but
a moderate
we live
lifestyle.
Way below our means when it comes to the apartment, electricity, our bills.
We're not living like rappers out here.
To some, it may seem that way, but it's still below our means. Let's be clear.
I want my G-Wagon. I want my big chain. I want my Rolex. Or
the percentage that we spend compared to what we bring in is very, very low. So managing our finances was probably the first step. And continuing to budget. We continue to budget, and that helps us to see our money, helps us to know, along with all of our other businesses, supplements our income. Now, at first, at the beginning of this, paying off debt was the shift in mindset for us, right? That's when things started to become, what's life outside of 9 to 5, right? Because it never was that before then. I don't think we've ever had that discussion. It's just like, okay, we'll pay off the debt. Just like when we started paying off the debt, it wasn't a goal of paying it by my 30s. It was like, let's just start. Yeah. So your goal moves as you move on in life, right? And then we had started, I think, playing around maybe in 2018, 2019. We'll leave our jobs when we're making what we make at our jobs, with our other businesses.
We started playing with the conversations.
Yeah, which we did. We started making more than what we were bringing in. And we still didn't leave our job. We're like, well, then how much is enough? And that was always the question people would ask us when we're on live. Like, well, what do you need to leave? Yeah. And Tony would ask me that too, and I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea what the number is, because we have hit numbers. We have hit 6 figures outside of our 9 to 5, bringing in, and we still stayed at our 9 to 5.
But why do you feel like that we didn't know that number? What?
I don't know.
What was the big hesitation?
You knew the number. You knew the number.
First it started off by we had to make a certain amount every month, and then it was like, how many times do you have to make that number so that you feel comfortable enough to walk away from?
Then it's like, emergency fund. Then you have the yearly emergency fund.
Yeah. So you start thinking about what are ways that you decrease expenses, raise your income, what we've done, but then also as you raise your income, how long can you maintain that lifestyle?
Right.
So we did it, you said 3 years now? 2 years now.
We we paid off our debt December 2018. So 2019, since 2019, we're in 2021. It's been 3 years.
So we've been able to make our income consistently year after year.
Yes, and grow it tremendously. Yeah.
So at the beginning of this year, we started having those more serious conversations. And I think a lot of it.
And this year's, what's funny?
What?
Sorry to cut you, but this year is the year that we made the most money.
Yeah.
And we were still talking about it in January of okay, let's see about us leaving this year.
We said, how would this year go? Let's see how it goes. And I think a big part of me deciding to leave my job this year was the pandemic too.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Because we had a lot more time as a family. We had a lot more time together. We had a lot more time with the dog. And we had a lot more time to grow our income. We had a full year and a half. Listen.
I've always worked from home, but you being home changed the game.
If you guys went through the pandemic and you didn't find a way to raise your income, or if the pandemic didn't wake you up at this time, listen, life is not over. You still got time. We had a whole year and a half where I'm working from home every single day, and it's like I'm not commuting to work. I'm not commuting from work. I'm not, BSing in the office. I don't have to do a lot of things that I had to do before. Yeah. And now I have the ability to sit down, make more money with my wife, and it's like, who wants to leave this?
Yeah.
and that was a big thing. I ain't say. I said this lifestyle. I ain't say you, but
wow.
No, listen, of course. But during the pandemic, we had a lot more time to focus on ourselves, our businesses, our finances, our marriage, and it's like I don't want to leave this lifestyle. Right. And I think that goes back to that great resignation conversation in September. There was like 4 million people that quit their jobs. 4 million people quit in September, and they called it the Great Resignation because they didn't want to go back to work.
I wonder what they're doing.
And they said a lot of people are quitting their jobs because they just don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to commute, and it's not like they're quitting to be lazy. They're quitting to pursue passions.
Which that brings up a point, because I think that when people assume that you retire or that you quit, or however you want to look at it, they're like, you're not working no more for the rest of your life? Oh, there's work.
There's always gonna work.
There's work happening in this household. It just gives you more time and energy to focus on those other things outside of the 9 to 5. So now you're not wrapped up at one place for 8 hours, and maybe you could just work 4 hours on one thing on one of our businesses, and so on and so forth. So work is still happening, just not in the traditional way, I would say, or what traditional could be changing also, but just not in the way that most people expect it to be.
Exactly. It's traditional has definitely changed because nobody wants to do the same thing over and over. If you learn,
I don't.
If you learn a different way of living life, how hard is it to go back to that previous way? Like if I'm used to a nice car, a nice house, and whatever it may be, now you got to downgrade your life. It's like I don't want to go back to that life. I know what luxury is. I know, and our luxury was just me not going to the office.
Yeah, taking Ubers.
Taking
Uber Black.
Yeah, listen, Uber Blacks too. So if I'm used to that luxury, it's kind of hard going back to that previous lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. So you started talking about it since January, telling friends, telling our coaches that, okay, this is the plan, and checking in with me because you kept saying, like, are you sure you're fine with this?
That's a big thing.
Are you sure you're fine with this? And I'm like, I'm fine. I mean, it took so long for us to get here because it was on me, really, right?
Yeah.
Why
do you feel like it took you so long to get here, though? Because you don't want to make any decision in your family you don't want to make any family decision that's going to impact the entire family.
Which this impacts the entire family.
The entire family. You kind of a big stream of income.
You make more than me. But I have 2 jobs.
You still got 2 jobs.
I have 2 jobs, so then I make more than him.
You think she should be quitting a job, but I'm retiring.
True. That is true as well. But when it was just my one job or your job, you made more than me. So cutting you felt like, oh, we're just cutting at the leg. Like, what's happening? Like, you're taking away chopping the family.
Hand.
So for me, it just always has been that mindset of security and not knowing anything else. I mean, it's simply the same way that it was for paying off the debt. I didn't know anything else. Like, why are we doing this? You know that you just have car payments or loan payments for the rest of your life. You pay it when you can. Right? It is what it is. Right? Why are we getting investment property? Why are we starting a business? Like, we never thought about starting a business. Like, why are we leaving this guaranteed income? Like, what? And then when you think about it, it's like, it's not really guaranteed because
any income really guaranteed?
No. But it feels that way.
I hear where you're going with that.
It feels that way. It's not really guaranteed.
Why do you feel like it's guaranteed?
Because you, like with a job, you show up. And so the hope is you're going to get paid, right? You do your job well, you're going to get paid.
You don't even have to do it well. You don't even have to do your job. You just got to be there.
You got to be there. You got to show up.
40 hours.
And I show up. I don't be taking days off like that unless I'm on vacation. I do not take sick days.
If you sit in that chair for 40 hours, they will pay you for the most part.
So it just felt like that sense of security was really the reason I was so hesitant, and that mindset of like, well, it's guaranteed money. But then, like I said, when you say that out loud, it is not guaranteed money. Literally, unless you're unionized, really, because they can't get you out of there.
Not at all.
Unless you're in the union, it's really not guaranteed. And so I think once I started to shift my mindset and have an understanding of, and another big thing that I always say is that you mostly let me have my way in life. That's kind of, and not in a like spoiled way. I mean,
sounds a little spoiled. Sounds a little spoily. Like spoiled milk or something.
But if you like press an issue or if you bring it up repeatedly, then it's something that's really on you, or something that really you feel prideful about, or that you just something that's impacting you.
Yeah.
So then I need to listen, kind of like moving down to Dallas, right? And I was like, I don't want to come here. But you keep bringing it up. Same thing with the debt payoff. Same thing with the business. So maybe you just know how to get me. That could be it, now that I say it.
It has to be something that I'm confident in.
Right. But so you consistently bringing up, I know that it's important to you, and I do believe that if we weren't tied up with our 9 to 5, that we can be further in our businesses. I do believe that. And so that's another thing that people say, like when the 9 to 5 starts to impact or interfere with the businesses, it's probably time for you to cut the cord. It's probably time. And so that was it as well. Like we always talk about that, like we're working, but I don't want to work like this for life.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to work the 9 to 5, get off, speak to students, speak to clients, go on live, do all those things all within a short amount of time because I'm occupied at the 9 to 5.
Because we get up at 5 and then we got to do the majority of our other businesses.
Work out, walk the dog, spend time with each other.
We got to watch that Bravo. We watch a lot of Bravo. So you got 5 hours to essentially live out your life. So you work 9 to 5 and you got 5 hours to yourself. Mm-hmm. And there was this tweet about, I forgot what the tweet was, but they said, you wouldn't work 8 hours a day if you knew there actually wasn't 24 hours in a day.
What?
So you wouldn't...
No, I thought it was that if you knew that you only had 12 hours in the day.
Exactly.
Like the other day. Okay.
Yeah. So if you work 8 hours and you really, after you get off of work, you only got a couple more hours.
You only have 4 to 5 hours.
Because you got to sleep. The rest of the night you're sleeping.
Or you what is it called?
What?
Commute. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the word.
I'm like, Uber driver. I didn't know what that was.
Or you're commuting, or you're spending time, but it's very limited compared to the amount of time that you're giving to work.
That's 1/3 of your entire day, and it's really not 1/3. It's about 1/2 of your entire day is at work.
Yeah, preparing for it, debriefing from it when you get home,
getting dressed, showering, trying to recover from the day. Like half of your day is spent at work. So imagine. Yeah. So a question that kept coming up at work was like, not even at work in general, when you talk about retiring, like what does that even look like?
Yeah. Well, I explained what I had a vision of retirement looks like. I know that is not what you're going to be doing because you're not 65. You're not empty nesting.
Yeah.
You haven't worked at a job for 40 years. So I guess, like, what was your vision of retirement before? Because it has to be different from 2 years ago to now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I thought I had the same vision you had. I thought retirement. I didn't know that there was another way. I didn't know that there was a wave of people retiring until really this year, which really happened.
Yeah.
During this time, when even in my office alone, I had a dozen people quit. Once we opened the office back, a dozen people quit, like off the bat, like they were gone. Yeah. And I'm like, what are they going to do? They got other jobs? What are they going to do? I mean, a lot of them went to other jobs and companies, but...
So would there be them resigning versus retiring? I mean,
they resigning. I don't think they retire like going out in the blaze of glory like me.
I'm out.
Nah, they just out. Peace out. Boom, I'm gone.
Yeah.
But retirement for me 3 years ago looked like exactly what you said. You know, I'm chilling. I am no longer working for myself or anyone else. I got income coming in, and I'm probably just on the beach or chilling in the house.
But, and it's funny, I think about it because we work with our financial advisors, and every year we update goals, we update retirement because they strive to have us retire the age that we want to retire.
Yeah.
Right? So I think when we first started, I'm like, I don't know, 62? I don't know. You don't know what to write down on this paper, right?
You said 62, right? I probably said 52.
Or something. And then every year it kept getting pushed up with him. He was like, I don't know. I'm thinking 40. I think that was the last thing that you said. I'm thinking 40. And they're like, okay.
No. The last one was this 35.
Oh, you put 35.
So that's actually funny. So our last retirement conversation.
What was it? February? February, I think, was when we do them.
So every year, like you said, we have a call with our financial advisor, and they do our retirement based on our goals, where we want to retire at, but also based on a realistic financial picture of where we are. In their minds, retirement is us retiring on the beach. In our minds, retirement means not working for anyone else. So when we had the conversation in February, I said, they asked us our retirement. What'd you say? You said 40, I think, this time. You were lower.
I don't know. I don't think I was at 40.
Maybe 45. And I said 35, and they said, well, that seems a little...
That's a little quick. I don't know if we're prepared for that.
He's like, when you turn 35, I said, this year? And I was like, okay. We laughed about it. It was like a little joke, little cute joke.
Yeah.
Who joking now? Who joking now? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But that was just the confidence that we had in where we could go and where we know we could be at.
Yeah.
To say we're gonna retire at 35, and I'm 35 now.
Yeah, that was a big deal. So walk us. Okay, so we had the manifestation. We were talking about it all year. We kind of been talking about it years before, but we actually set to do it this year. And then bring us up to date as to how it. And so before, actually, during the year, that was the goal to leave in December. Mm-hmm. When we found out we were pregnant, we were like, well, I was like, well, maybe you stay a little longer.
A little longer would have turned into at least 5 other months.
Maybe you stay a little longer, take paternity leave, and then figure out if you really want to stay home with me and the kids 24/7.
I was like, I'm with it. Let's do it.
Maybe stay a little longer, and you were like, I don't know. I don't know if it makes a difference because I mean we're doing March, so it's so early in the year. You're like, it was just 2 extra months. I don't know if it makes a difference.
Yeah. So in my mind, it was like I'm just stalling. I'm stalling the inevitable.
Yeah.
And the longer I delayed it, the harder it would be for myself and also my company too.
Yeah. Right. You're like, I'll see. Maybe I don't know. He wasn't sold on it though, but he didn't say no completely.
I was like, maybe we'll see.
He wasn't so.
I definitely said maybe we'll see, but I just knew the longer it took us to do that, the harder it would have been.
Yeah,
and then also would have been more difficult on them to be like, all right, well, you put us in this position now.
Right.
And I wanted to go out blazing glory.
And then what was it? The last week in October was it? I don't have the date in front of me. Huh?
What happened then?
When you had the conversation, I was moving up to when you had the conversation with your manager.
Oh, yeah. So
unless there's stuff between that,
I don't know.
We'll circle back if there is.
So I had a conversation with my manager, and it was a very candid conversation. And I don't know where this podcast is going to go. It might make its way back there, but the conversation was around me not being in it. Like my heart, he felt like my heart wasn't in it. In it being the company. And
is your heart in your company?
That's a good question, y'all. Think about that.
Nobody can respond back, but I just want to know if your heart in your company.
Is your heart in any company you at right now?
Don't be throwing shade my way.
That's a question.
No. My heart is not in it. So I think that's a hard question. I'm like, whose heart is in it?
Are you in it 100%? What does 100% look like?
Yeah, what is 100%? I'm in it that I ain't messing anything up. I'm doing my job. That's what I think. I do my job. I do it well. There's no issues, nothing late, nothing. So it's hard to say if my heart is in it.
Yeah.
Certain jobs, your heart is in it, but not all the time either. Like you get frustrated, things happen.
You're a human.
Yeah, so I think that's a difficult question to answer. So if anybody was to ask me, I'd be like, I don't know if my heart is in it, but I'm here.
Listen, I want to know, y'all, is your heart in your job, or are you just there to collect a paycheck? And I think that was part of it too.
Yeah.
He wanted, and I managed 35 people. So if you are a forward-facing part of an organization, you have to be the person that's happy. You can't half-ass it, honestly. You can't be out there just chilling. You really got to be all in because you're a leader at that point.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest concern, like,
Because I was like, I'm like, so what? Because I say that to you all the time. I mean, you're like, oh, this person isn't growing. I'm like, not everybody wants to grow. Yeah. Like, it's okay. Like,
but when you're a leader, you have to be growing, or you have to
show it away.
You have to continue to lead your team to help them grow.
Right.
And that was a big concern of his. It was like, are you fully in it? And I think that's what he meant. Was like, is your heart in? Are you still in? Are you still fit to lead the organization? And I had to have a candid conversation with myself, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to answer that right now. But also, are there any tangibles that make you feel like I'm not doing my job?
Right.
And
the answer was?
The answer was no.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm responsive. I'm on time. My team is still doing a great job. We're still hiring. People are still getting promoted on my team. My team is still getting to where they need to be. So there was no tangible metrics that said Anthony's not doing his job. But again, I think it was a real conversation that you have to have. And I've had this conversation with employees too. Was like, if your heart's not in the job, then you probably shouldn't be doing certain roles. You got to understand that.
Yeah. And so that was the conversation. You said you'll get back to him in a week's time.
Have you ever had to have that conversation with somebody?
No.
Would you have that conversation with an employee that you feel like it's not in it?
No, because I think it's okay to not be in it.
It depends on their role. You don't think so?
Yeah, but the people that you've had those conversations with weren't in the manager roles.
That's true. No. I've had that conversation with people who are higher ups.
Oh, okay.
So I guess
the people I'm thinking about that
don't be all of my company's business. Just because I tell you don't mean you gotta be in their business.
I was just saying, but I get it on the business side of it that you have to show up a certain way.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Like, you can't be looking miserable, but at the same time, I don't know. There's life outside of work. So
we know that. We know that.
Yeah, we know that fully. So I think it just varies on if that's a conversation that I bring up. Like, is it impacting? And that's the biggest thing. I think because you have been there for 9 years and it was more of a relationship conversation versus like your work is slacking conversation, that's the difference. Because if I'm going to be going to someone, nobody I've worked with, I haven't worked with anybody in my company that long to have a relationship conversation. If I'm going to someone that's based off of their work slacking. So I think that's the difference.
And I think that conversation is more impactful because you go into someone and say, listen, I want to have not off the record, but I want to have a conversation where there's not gonna be any tangibles, but you gotta not only hear what I'm saying, but you also gotta listen to what I'm saying too. And this is not just me saying you're doing a bad job. I need to know that you're in it. Yeah. And I think that's what made the conversation more impactful for me. Yeah. To make me make a more realistic decision.
And so they kind of pulled your card.
No, it wasn't a card.
Well, I'm saying help the conversation for you to move forward and actually say like, okay, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, we came. So when we had that conversation, I told you, and we came home and we said, wow, this may be it.
Yeah, this is probably the time.
This is the time to do it. Because I felt like you get to a certain point where even if I would have said, yeah, I'm in it, you start looking for little things. You start doubting. You start doubting that person's in it. Because if you're already long gone, it's gonna be hard to get them back. So especially once you know what we got going on outside of work, you start to doubt it.
We got a lot going on outside of work.
So you start having that conversation, and now I come home to you, and we're like, this. I'm like, this may be it.
This may be the time
to make that decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like, well, how do you feel? And you were like, a weightlifter.
Listen, I feel. If y'all listen to other podcast episodes compared to this one, there's been a weight that has been lifted.
Please.
There's been a weight that has been lifted, and it's not a bad thing being able to make a decision like that on your own, because it wasn't. He was like, listen, if you tell me you're in it, you're in it. Like we'll move on. Conversation's done. We'll have end of year conversations. We'll do reviews. You get your bonus. My bonus is pretty significant for the most part, so we would have been good, and we would have moved on with our lives. But coming down and sitting there realizing like it's better to walk out while you're on top versus the other way around, it makes a huge impact.
Yeah. So then we came back a week later and basically said like, hey, yeah, I think it's time that I explore some of the stuff that I've been doing outside of the company. And the thing about it is
this being one of them.
Right. The thing about it is, which we had this discussion before, is like, you could go back to a job, right? It don't got to be that job, but you can go back. If it doesn't work out for you, whatever working out looks like, if you decide like, all right, I did this for 4 years, I want to go back, or I'm missing something, you have maybe a gap in your resume, but you can go back. There's nothing stopping you from going back.
People don't talk about going back to work either.
No, I know. I don't know if it might be a pride thing as to why people don't go back, or I don't know what the reason is.
Listen, there's no going back. We gonna figure it out, or we gonna figure it out.
You can. I'm just saying.
We gonna figure it out, or we gonna figure it out.
If it's needed, it's a possibility. It ain't off the table, is all I'm saying. But
to go back to another thing we did was, you talked about emergency fund a little bit, but we saved up more than a year's worth of income.
Yeah, on our business side and on our personal side. So we have 2 different emergency funds.
So if everything stopped, we are good for our business can run for a year, and our personal life can run for a year minimum.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that allows people.
That's a huge deal.
That is a huge deal.
That's a huge cushion. And so that, I guess that's something that when you're thinking about, or if you are thinking about retiring, what do you need to feel comfortable? I don't think we ever got to what the number is for us to get monthly, like from the outside businesses, but having those emergency funds, and knock on wood, that everything won't stop at the same time, that if I lose a job, I still have another job. If I lose both jobs, I still actually have something else that I can go to, or we still have our businesses, and vice versa. If all the businesses shut down, all 5 businesses shut down at the same time, then like, what do we do next? We still have, I still have the 9 to 5. So what is it that you need to feel comfortable to retire is a question to ask yourself as well.
That is an amazing question, because It's gonna be different for everybody.
And the need changes.
We got a baby coming, so now our
got a baby coming. We got a house.
We got a house now, so our
need changes.
Our needs change. But then once we get a hold on our house expenses, it's not gonna be much more than our rent right now.
Right.
And the baby is not gonna be expensive forever. Hopefully, knock on wood.
Forever.
At least until they're 18. Mm-hmm. But your needs change, and as you go along with life, as we get older, we're not gonna need as much income as we have right now. So that's gonna change as we go along.
I may want to be on some yachts.
All right, you're gonna be on a yacht. You're becoming a rapper as you get older.
Only rappers go on yachts?
Actually, rappers don't go on yachts, never. Especially DJ Khaled's not a rapper. He don't go on yachts.
Oh, God. Yeah, they ain't the only ones on yachts.
But we were able to come back. We sat down for that weekend. That was significant for me, too, because you sat down, you listened to my heart, and you're like, all right. I didn't have to bring you through the ringer for you. He's like, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, shoot.
Yeah, you were shocked.
I'm like, man, all right, what do I do now? I was like, all right, I was hoping you were going to say stay longer.
Didn't expect her to say that.
Please not so soon.
Yeah, so you did that, told them, and then it's been a weight lifted. We've been telling family and friends, like, your departure date, because it's not immediate. Yeah. You got about another month left. And then today you did, like, a thing for the company to know, because at first you told your manager. Yep. And then today you told the company, and so how was that? The people that been working under you since you moved down to Dallas, 6 years in
About
February.
To be 6 years, yeah. I didn't realize that until like today too. I was talking to someone and they were like, "How long you been in Dallas?" I'm like, "Well, I moved down in February."
Yeah.
I was like, "So it's about to be 6 years now."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sheesh, we've been out in Texas for 6 years. That's crazy.
You moved then. I moved in June.
6 years. You about to be 6 years too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But we was able to and I was able to do it on my own terms too. I was able to tell my team the way I wanted them to do it. We do monthly team meetings, and I was able to tell them during our monthly team meeting. And I had a whole speech prepared, and I talked about me retiring versus resigning, and I was like, no tears in the house. This is my own accord. I'm happy. And then I also dropped that we are having a baby, and we just closed on our house, and I'm retiring. And they were like, "Wow, you just dropped." I'm like, "Yep, I just dropped everything on y'all. Peace out.
I'm out.
I'm out." We had a huge potluck today too. We had beers. We were able to enjoy each other's company. Of course you can have a beer. Hopefully. I bought you some brisket though.
Yeah, you did.
The brisket was good.
I appreciate it.
Listen, one of my coworkers, and I told him too, I was like, listen, I'm gonna be gone, but I'm not gonna be too far away. You bring this brisket to this office, you better text me. He was like, I got you. And but it was bittersweet. I'm still there for a couple more weeks. Yeah. But being able to tell them now, it's like, all right, it's not a secret. It was a little couple rumors out there too. So people looking at me side eyes, people asking me, how you doing? I'm like, you know how I'm doing because you know the rumor. Low key.
You know what it is.
Yeah, but it was really good. It was exciting.
Okay. So another weight lifted, and then I think the struggle is going to be not the struggle is figuring out when that day comes. What do I do now?
What are you going to have me do now? Is the question.
I got a list going. I got a list on our whiteboard going.
What does my retirement look like for you? My retirement from my job.
I don't know. I mean, you got to figure it out. I mean, and how does it mesh with the family? You're definitely going to get up, listen to a podcast, and working out. That's at minimum what's happening in your life. Start.
That's that. If I do that every single day, then that's a good day.
That's at minimum. And your meditation. Are you still doing your meditation?
I meditate from time to time. I use a Calm app.
You were consistent. I use a Calm 30 app plus days.
And it's a little 10 minutes. And what it does is just allows you to not think. That's one of my biggest challenges too. I think a lot.
You think a lot.
I think a whole lot. So the Calm app just allows me to sit down and think and actually not think. It allows you to sit down in silence and not think and just focus on your breathing. And that's very key for someone like me who I feel like I have anxiety. But the Calm app is really, really helped me too. Yeah. They need to sponsor us. How about that?
You never know, child. You never know. Speaking into existence from your mouth to God's ears.
Amen. Praise him.
So, yeah, that's all I know you're doing. I know that you're going to wake up. You're going to listen to a podcast, go to the gym. Maybe you'll go on a long walk with Blue, depending on your mood. That's our dog. Depending on your mood.
And the weather.
And the weather. That affects your mood. And I don't know what's after that. Listen, and then we'll have a kid in the midst of that. So I don't know the routine of that. We don't have a schedule yet because the kid ain't here. Like,
what's your biggest fear for me during this time? What's your biggest fear for us during this time?
I don't know if I've thought of a fear for us because we do spend a lot of time together in general. Like, anyway. So that's not even a fear of like, oh, are you spending too much time? Because you can always go to a co-working space if things become too much.
If it becomes too
if
challenging.
It's like, all right. But through the pandemic for the year and a half, we were literally in the same room. So I think it'll be manageable. But a year and a half versus the next 30 years is different, right? So I don't know if I've thought of challenges for us. I don't know. Maybe you wanting to start more businesses, that would be a challenge because you feel like you have more free time. And the issue is that he doesn't want to start any business without me. And that's the problem.
Because we make such a great
that's the problem.
Team. We make such a great team.
I will encourage you. I'll be on the sidelines, clapping you on to do whatever it is you want to do.
We make such a great team.
And he's like, no. We got to be on board. I'm like, okay. So maybe wanting to start another thing. But I think there's enough stuff or systems that we need to put in place for our other businesses before anything new that will occupy you probably for a year.
Well, this is another thing that's new too. This will be the last new thing for us.
This is another new thing.
This will be the last new thing for us. Hopefully, we'll see.
For a while, not ever. I mean, life changes, businesses sell. For a while is what I would say.
So, one of my biggest fears would probably be me wanting. Like, it would be something along the business lines, but me wanting to start something new or just getting so much information overload because I'm constantly consuming information to kind of help us grow, evolve, and you just saying, no, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah. Or not being available.
Not being available. Because I have so much time now. It's like, I want to do this. And you're like, I got a meeting, I got a phone call.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough.
I got a therapy session.
You're not having that flexibility to be able to move when I can move is probably going to be one of my biggest challenges.
Yeah, that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. Because it's going to have to be like, you got to wait till 5. You're like, I'm up since 8 a.m.
I'm not waiting till 5 for nothing.
I got to wait till 5 to, can we get it in through your lunch? And I'm like, listen, no, we've never done doing content in my lunch. We can't do that now.
We got a call with our business coach. You got to wait till after work. And we got a call with this person. You got to wait till after 5. And that whole waiting until after 5 now might be a challenge for me. Because I got a full day. I'm working a couple hours in a day, and now I gotta wait till after 5 o'clock to do more work. When my whole day should be done by
your day should be done. It should be on your own terms.
Yeah,
but now it's like you gotta wait for me. So it's not on your own terms. Semi on your own terms.
Somebody's next. We can't live life like this. So what do you think you would need to get to that point where you are able to or wanting to retire? Because I don't think you want to yet, but
I don't think I don't want to. Listen, from when I found out I was 2 months pregnant, I'm like, maternity leave me, please. Like, where's the time off? Where is America when you need them to give you the time off? Outside of just being excited to be at home with our new baby, I'm excited to be away from work as well. Am I going to maintain the 2 jobs during that time? Whenever I go back?
Yeah.
Doubt it.
Okay.
Doubt it. How long it would take me to leave a job? That's another question.
So we definitely dropping one job?
Definitely dropping one job. I ain't saying
heard that.
what job or when the job or
keep us accountable.
But definitely dropping one job because it's just not. I don't have the emotional capacity to run like that. There's some days that I'm drained without a baby.
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah, mentally. So now you're going to put a baby in the equation? That don't make sense for me to have this additional stress. For what?
And your job is very intense, too.
Well, because I do therapy with people. So it's not like I got to give my all. Y'all giving y'all all to me. It's just it's sucking.
It's draining.
There's a lot of draining coming out. A lot of draining happening. So that's why I'm like, I do it for the additional income, but I don't necessarily need that additional income. Because we have all these other things happening.
I'd rather you not have the stress. Even if we don't bring that money back in, I'd rather you not have that stress because now you may not want to focus on another business, but now you can just focus on yourself. Maybe you focus on your health. Maybe you just pick up on the hobby that you enjoy so that those couple hours a day kind of come back to you in your life.
Yeah. And that's what I look forward to. When will that be? I don't know. I think I have to see life with a child in it to know, is that if I'm home from work, do I now feel like my life is just revolved around my family and child? I don't want that either. Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you see those women and they just focus on their kid and they can't do nothing without their kid.
Well, that's the situation that they're in.
Is that because they have nothing else going for themselves?
No, not at all. But maybe finances, maybe they're a single mother. There's so many things, so many factors that that plays into someone. And some people just love to do that. Some people love to just, to be a stay-at-home mom. And it's a lot. I mean, there was this article that I saw just on one of the Instagram stuff, and it was like, if moms were to get paid, like how much they would get paid, like some 6-figure amount that they would get paid.
Based on their hours of taking care of their kid?
Yeah. Okay. Based on the amount of hours that it takes to run the household, right? Because usually people assume, or I would say men, assume that if the person is a stay-at-home mom, it's not just taking care of the kid.
Yeah.
It's the food, it's the groceries, it's the laundry.
I do that stuff, so.
Yeah, so you don't expect it from me. Good. Glad we're there. It's all of those things.
I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad. Shout out to some stay-at-home dads, y'all. Yeah, we got y'all out here.
There got to be a gang somewhere.
Shout out stay-at-home dads. That would be let me be the president of that.
But yeah, so it's all of those things, and so I don't. Who knows? When I have a child, maybe I want my life to revolve around them. Who knows? But right now, the way I feel about it is like I still want to have my own identity. So just like if I stop, what am I gonna do? Is it just, do we still have someone, which I would want, still have someone come nanny? The child still goes to daycare, so that we still have that separation of time with my husband, time without the kid, that type of stuff.
But you do know if you leave your job, you got more time to do whatever it may be.
I understand.
Listen, this is not about you. This is not about you leaving your job. So
no, I know.
This is just about that conversation around leaving your jobs. But at the end so like you said, one part you said was people always ask us, when are we leaving our jobs? So now they know, number one.
Well, they'll see here.
now they know that it has happened, so they can stop asking that question. But everyone doesn't want to leave their job. So I was talking to one of my colleagues, and today during the retirement conversation, and she said, it's funny because my grandmother just retired, and I was like, wow, that's absolutely nuts. She's like, one day I want to be like you, where I don't have to work my grandmother's age in order to retire. And I was like, but if you enjoy what you do, she's like, her grandmother's a teacher, something like teacher, or I don't know, forgot what it was. But I was like, if your grandmother loves what she does or loves what she did, and she wanted to do it for 40 years, then enjoy it.
And then I think it's different too when you get older, because then it becomes, well, what am I going to do now? Yeah. Right? So right now we have things happening, life going, but when you're older, it's like they retire and then they still end up working at Trader Joe's or they Target because they want.
Trader Joe's is dope. You love Trader Joe's.
Because they just want to be around people or just enjoy stuff, because it's like
they want to still feel worthy of.
Yeah, it's like what now? Yeah, which is different from how old you are, because you have a lot of what nows, because you're going. You're
not gonna be able to go forever. And I think that's another thing too, is that when you do this at such a young age, or listen, people are way younger than me retiring, but when you do this at a young age, you got so much more room to make mistakes, because if you leave your job, I went to the district court when I was 22. Imagine if I stopped working when I was 22, and I was like, I gotta figure it out. Imagine where I'd be today. I may have not figured it out. I may have had to go back to that job, but
it's a good job. It's a good job.
That's a job you stay at until you're 80 and you retire when you're 85. Yeah,
and that they do in the courts. They do.
The district judges there definitely retired in their 90s.
Oh, judges don't.
They don't be caring. But if you do this at a young age, you have a lot more room to make mistakes. So the older you get, like you said, it's a lot harder to make that jump, because you're like, well, what happens if I fail? I have no more income coming in, and if I would have stayed working for 5, 10 more years, I probably would have had a pension or Social Security or whatever it may be. So you got to be able to pick and choose when you want to do that, and it's not for everybody either. It may not be for me, which it is. Let's make that clear.
I guess the one last question I have is just, so what are you excited about when it comes to retirement?
I'm excited for the opportunities that we will be able to create for ourselves and our family. Now that I'm not giving anyone else 8 hours of my day,
that freedom.
40 hours of my week. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I'm happy about, is not giving another person, entity outside of Hartzog Enterprises, Anthony and Janoka Hartzog, the Hartrimony, any other business we have. Then I'm keeping those 40 hours, and I'm now putting that back into us, our relationship, our life, our kid, our dog.
All of the above.
So that's what I'm most excited about. And the funny thing is, I'm not gonna be the type of person that sleeps in, because I don't sleep in on our days off anyway.
Yeah.
So
pissing me off.
That has nothing to do with nothing for me. It's just like that, getting that time back. That's my biggest thing. That's what I'm excited about.
Well, I love that for you. I love that I'm excited for you to be excited.
You're a fool.
I'm excited for you to be excited and do the things that you want to do in life, because so many of us are not able to do that. We were able to do it to an extent. And like you say, people will probably be like, oh, I wish I could retire. I mean, you can. If you prepare and you figure out those numbers, like what is it that you need?
Retirement is just a number. It's not an age.
And obviously I know there's circumstances where people may have low paying jobs or, single parents and stuff. So it's not as black and white. I'm not saying that. But if you have the opportunity, what will retirement look like? Like, did you start thinking about that? I think that's the thing.
That's a good takeaway.
Because we don't even think about it, so it's not even in our radar. It's like that's not gonna happen for me. So why am I thinking it's not possible? You think it's just not possible? Just like we figured we'll never be millionaire. Like you think these things are just not possible.
Visualize it a little bit.
And so when you recognize like, okay, it actually is possible, then I think things start to shift for you.
Definitely. So, start visualizing what you want to see, what you want to do, and more importantly, who you want to be. It doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but start visualizing it so that you can see yourself getting there. You can start thinking about it, start talking about it, put that energy out there, which is exactly what we did.
Yeah. So congratulations on your retirement.
Appreciate that.
No retirement party because you just had a big 35th party. So,
we gonna party.
Can celebrate, but we just celebrate. It won't be a separate party.
We definitely gonna throw a party.
Okay, let's see what you got planned.
Throw my own party.
You ain't throwing nothing. Anyways, thank you for joining. Make sure that you subscribe, like, share it with other people. If you want to know more about our cleaning business, cleaningbusinessuniversity.com. It'll also be in the show notes. What else do you have for them?
Appreciate you guys being here today. Again, don't forget, man, it's not just about the hustle. It's about the grind that you do, too. Keep hustling, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been an episode of the Hartzog Hustle Podcast. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite listening platform. And follow Anthony and Janilka on Instagram at The Hartrimony. That's TheHartrimony. Keep hustling, baby. Keep hustling, baby.
Get that money. Get that money.